Oh, yeah. If that doesn't get you in the mood for a cigar, I don't know what will. StreamYard, updating their intro music. Love it. I got to say, tonight is actually everything that I love about the Cigar Professor, because let's talk about the cigar first. I love Olivas, but can you believe I've never had one of these? Why? Well, because I've already found the cigars in the Oliva range that I love. I love the Oliva V, particularly the Milanios and the number 4, but any Oliva V, the Lanceros are another highlight for me, but I know which ones to reach for. So if I walk into a cigar shop, I go, I know what I want, and I walk over there and I get it, which means that I miss out on little gems like this. I had overlooked this cigar more times than I can remember when I've been shopping online, etc. But thanks to Professor Damo, who is always hunting for the good stuff, he's unearthed this. And as I've looked into it, I've realized that I think I've been missing out all this time, because actually, if you talk to the Oliva family, they will tell you that they think this is their best. It was released as a flagship in 2006, but only 1 year later in 2007, the Oliva V came out, and that was a huge marketing success. And the rest is history. And this poor little fella got forgotten, but not forgotten by Professor Damo. So you know what? Without further ado, I'm going to bring the professor himself on. Professor Damo, I have very high hopes for tonight. I hope I am not geeing myself up too much.
Look, I think one of the things to the credit of tonight's cigar is that it has been in my possession for somewhere around about 18 months, maybe 2 years. So it's got a bit of age on it. I've aged it with a good plethora of other cigars. So there's a bit of cross-pollination going on. So it should be an interesting experience. The other reason for aging, and apart from it being a little bit too fresh for my liking when we received the stock, it also does have a Ligero filler, and Ligero has a little bit more kick, and obviously aging cigars reduces the nicotine kick. So I wanted it to be more about the flavor, not about the nicotine kick.
Well, I was going to take this out of the cellophane before waving it around at the start of the show, but then I noticed something, and I have not removed it from the cellophane to check, but I'm fairly sure if I look closely here, that there is a very distinct color difference. I'm going to put the cigar down for a second. There is a very distinct, so I can see it to the naked eye. I have no idea if it's going to show on camera, but the tip of this is clear, and then the rest of it is actually quite yellow. I'm not sure if that shows, but I can see visually very clearly that there is some yellowing. Some of the oils and so forth have discolored the cellophane. That is always a very, very good
white cigar. Tissue. You can
yeah.
see that there.
Yeah. Now, it's not all, fun and rainbows here on the Cigar Professor. We do have to do some difficult things sometimes, and one of those is to let Professor Omar into the show. So I'm gonna just bite the bullet. Eat the frog first. Do hard things first. I'm gonna let Omar in the show. Omar, how are you, buddy? I can't hear a word you're saying.
I think he's on mute.
That's the way we like him.
Well,
yeah,
there he is.
Yeah.
How are you, Omar?
Living the dream, babies.
Mate, that choice of hat with that beard completely transforms the look. I mean, you're basically, what has happened now with you is you've just jumped the fence over the Rio Grande and you're trying to blend in South Texas. That's what's happened now.
He needs to be smoking a Dos Hombre, not an Oliva.
I mean, I could believe you were the bloke that grew the tobacco in this cigar, the way you look right now.
Nah, I don't know if Demo remembers or not, but we had this cigar in 2016 first, 2016-17. We thoroughly enjoyed this stick back then. We had like a couple of boxes that we went through back in the day, and it's absolutely a gorgeous stick.
It smells wonderful. It really does.
Beautiful cold
Beautiful.
Draw.
It's
such a long box press cigar. Draw is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got this lovely mix of fresh hay with a little bit of barnyard, but without the funk. And I think that aroma is so well integrated. Your theory, Damo, about aging it and maybe dealing with some of the nicotine hit, etc., I think you're going to be pretty well spot on there. Now, I need to deal with a couple of comments here because we've got a couple of apologies. Stephen Crow, unfortunately, has a State of Origin catch-up with the lads tonight. Well, it's nice to know that we're not first on your list of priorities, Stephen. Thanks for putting us in our place. But enjoy your night and enjoy watching the replay tomorrow. Then we've got Daniel, who's saying he's not well. I believe Daniel was actually planning on having a guest around and smoking in his in his man cave tonight. So that's unfortunate. So Daniel, get well soon. And then, of course, we have...
Hang on. Omar, what's your prescription to get better?
For Daniel?
Yes. Well, what do you reckon he should do in order to make himself feel better at the moment?
I will chop. Let's get chopped.
Just
heavy.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell him just to smoke the cigar.
Nah, well, it'd be good if you have 2 cigars together.
Mhm.
Right,
That will
okay.
engage-
So he needs to pull another cigar out and smoke 2.
2 at the
Fair
same
enough.
time.
So I think the two of you should team up. Omar is like the nutritionalist and you know all that, and then Damo, you've got the logistics sorted, and you should offer medicinal 2-packs. And what it is you get a cigar on the one side and a can of cement on the other, and instructions that tell you how to smoke the cigar, drink the cement, and harden the F up. I think that sounds like a good business idea to me.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
why not?
perfect business.
All right. And Mr. Stew is obviously taking psychedelics as usual. He's seeing sparkles in the wrapper. That's probably just the mushrooms, mate. Probably just need to lay off a little bit.
It's tough, man. Be gentle with Mr. Stu, man.
Look, Mr. Stew's a good guy. We were on the phone earlier today. It was good fun. Alrighty, we're going for straight cuts today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've just done a straight cut.
Ditto.
Beautiful draw.
Yeah, little bit of resistance.
Of a Serie V Milano as well.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say the aroma, the cold draw and the aroma is lighter. It's a brighter flavor profile for me than the Oliva V Milano in the Lancero. All right. I see Omar's doing it right, doing it there with the match.
I'll tell you what, Toph, it's just so sweet. I don't remember it to be that sweet. Seriously. Seriously.
Oh wow, that is
This
sweet.
has got a molasses type sweetness straight off the lighter. I don't know what the hell happened to it. They used to be supposed to be like a strong stick.
Yeah. Alongside still that really light straw, the light straw that was in the aroma definitely comes through for me in the flavor profile, but it's like a molasses put through straw.
Yeah.
A little very
Super
faint scent in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Now, Oliva themselves actually don't publish a lot of info about this cigar. I noticed, Damo, as I was looking into it. They seem to be either.
Not at all. The only real information that we know about this cigar for certain is that it is a USA grown Connecticut broadleaf as the outer wrapper,
Which is
and
very
it's,
unusual.
Yes, Nicaraguan binder and a Nicaraguan filler, which includes Ligero.
Yeah. Now, it's not the first time we've seen a broadleaf used as a wrapper on a premium cigar, but it is not a common thing at all. And I got to tell you, I would never have picked it.
Yeah. The other very interesting thing about, I know it's a bit irrelevant to what we're talking about, but this is probably, I would say probably my favorite Vitola ever. That shade.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly, some of the RPs we had in that, we had a bunch of RPs in that. Man, it stays in your mouth better. It just hold it better, and it's a slow burn. I like box spread particularly.
You're right. It's like a Rocky Patel ALR Series 2, but maybe an inch longer or so. It's a very, very similar kind of feel in your hands. Very similar box press.
100%.
Does
100%.
feel a little flatter than an ALR though.
Slightly, because it's a little bit more flatter. Yes, you're right. But I'll tell you what, man, I can specifically remember it was a much heavier stick, and that just sort of reaffirms that what Damo said about aging it. It's just completely different beast. Completely
The
different.
flavors are really well integrated. It tastes like what it is, a premium stick with some age on it. Lovely.
Yeah.
Lingering, I'm going to say, I think this is going to develop into some slight aniseed or even licorice over time. I think there's a very slight hint already there.
I'm actually enjoying it the way it is right now. I remember being a much stronger robust smoke, but not to say it's good or a bad thing, but I'm just surprised how sweet it is now.
Yeah. It is lovely though.
Yeah.
Much
So this was intended
much mild than when we had it last.
This was intended to be a very premium stick. Obviously, by the Olivas, it was meant to be sort of the top of their tree, and then it just got gazumped by the popularity of the Serie V, and forgotten. I think it was a year later, 2006. If you look at the band on the back, this was a 2006. Was not the cigar itself, but this is when this product line was launched. And a year later, they launched the Vs, and that really took the whole company to another level in terms of sales volumes, etc. And this has been largely forgotten.
And not just the Serie V, but then you've got the Serie V Milanio, and then you've got the Milanio LEs, and then you've got the Milanio Maduros. So the Serie V really knocked it off its perch before it was able to get established.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen? I've got my usual trusty big mug of cheap black tea. It's my favorite companion for any cigar.
I've got my extra big mug of Aldi brand English breakfast tea.
I see.
And also pairing it with a tonic water.
Okay. Let me guess. That's fizzy bean juice?
Nah, black tea.
Black tea. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
This is not an episode of South Park, Mr. Stu. You don't have to kill Kenny. You can let him live. You can let him live. It's fine.
Kenny can live.
Kenny can live.
He wants to live.
Is there a hint of bakery? I'd say there is in that light spice, that light cinnamon note that you were talking about before, Damo.
Look, when we lit up, before that straw note kicked in for me, I was getting a sort of a bakery note, but then it sort of did transition a little bit more into that fresh dry straw. But yeah, definitely you can sort of pick up that cinnamon baked spice there. So
yeah,
definitely on the money, Mr. Stu.
High praise from Tony. He says, this is gorgeous. Probably the best cigar I've had.
Wow.
Big call.
Massive
Big call early in a cigar, Tony. That's bold.
I tell you what, the whole psychology of us humans is obviously questionable. Because I always looked at it as just, I like it, but I don't love it because it's too strong. But this is right now. If I didn't know if it was the same stick that I had, I never loved it so much, I'll be like, what the fuck is it? Is it a David? What?
This is the reason I love to shove a box of sticks away and forget about them for a year or two.
Right.
How the fuck?
So, like, I just encourage everybody who likes to buy cigars, buy some for now, but buy some and stick them at the bottom of the humidor and just don't dig down there for a year or two. This is what you'll get.
Leave them be. Leave them be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magnificent. Magnificent. This is the kind of stick that I think we're at risk of all just falling silent and just having a nice 90-minute long silent herf. It'll be riveting viewing.
I know.
Oh, it's so smooth on the retro. Nice little ring in there to start the cigar off as well.
I've had a few. It's well rolled. I like the way they rolled it.
It's actually Because normally, you know, a lot of cigars, particularly the bolder cigars, when you actually do a bit of a retro hail on the smoke, it's you know, it's quite
It
peppery,
burns.
quite spicy. This
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
at all. This is just smooth.
Mm.
Very smooth.
Well, I'm in my new factory. First show,
Yes,
first
congratulations.
factory.
Yeah.
Had to fork out, you know, about $800-900 getting all the smoke alarms taken out of this place and swapped out for thermal alarms. So we'll see whether
Gosh.
the fire company did the correct thing for us.
Yes, you'll
So-
find out very soon.
If you hear, if you hear a siren and people banging on a door, you'll know that didn't work.
We'll find out in a minute.
But yes, I only got back from work. I was actually originally going to be doing tonight's show from somewhere on a dirt road around Pecolbin where I could find signal. But I managed to finish my work early today, and the farmer who I was staying with on his way out to the property got a call and got a cancellation medical appointment for tomorrow morning and said that he'd have to leave pretty much at breakfast time. And given the fact that I'd just finished work for the day and was about to set up camp, it was like, pull out the swag, pull out the sleeping bag, get set up for camp, pull out all the camping equipment, and then have to get up early and pack it all up, or I could just leave it in the car and drive home now. So decided I'll leave it in the car, drive home now, and I won't have to worry about trying to find some dingy spot on the side of a dirt track in the middle of nowhere to get sick and freeze to death.
Probably, yeah, I was going to say probably best because it's turned proper cold and it's getting pretty wet out there.
Yeah, well, it's going to be about 8 degrees tonight where I was going to be outside shivering away. So, but I haven't had time to work out the setup in this venue yet. So over the next few shows, you might see a few different backgrounds or angles or whatever. The lighting's not the greatest. I've got a light right on front of me, but the overhead LED lights in this factory are so horrendously bright that my camera is struggling to get the light balance. But if I turn them off, then it's too dark.
We won't see anything. Yeah.
No, so it's I've got to figure that one out yet. So maybe just a different position in the factory where I'm not directly under one of those big lights.
Mr. Stu, you've got it exactly wrong. Because no one else sees my rings, I can claim whatever I want. I've had hundreds already. You guys just weren't looking. Okay, you just weren't watching. All right, that's the truth. Now, Udo Starkus is joining us tonight, but he smoked this lovely cigar last Sunday. Udo, wow, a bit of patience, mate. A bit of self-control.
Well, Udo should hopefully still be able to remember it, being fresh in his mind, and be able to give us his thoughts and opinions on the cigar nonetheless. Which I expect.
You know who we haven't seen recently, Omar?
Yeah.
You remember that wanker that used to come on and comment? Some like Pyro. It was like
Pyro.
I think his name was like a Shakespeare reference. It was about like to be or not to be or something. I don't quite clearly remember. I think he was going to blow himself up. I think that's what it was about. It was like he was contemplating whether he should exist with pyrotechnics or something.
He normally turns up around June, July from memory.
Do you think he's going to come back this year?
No, actually,
wait and see.
Now, before he could blow himself up or someone else, the cops got him. He's behind the bars.
There's another beautiful ring with good hang time.
I got to tell you, the smoke production on this is beautiful. I've got the studio door closed just for warmth, and already there's a lovely little haze layer sitting above me. You can see how long. Actually, you can't because the screen's narrower, but on my full screen here, the camera's just picking up the beautiful smoke just sort of drifting around the room. For a not terribly intense cigar, it has wonderful, wonderful smoke production.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I think someone made a comment about being their best cigar. And I would say this. That is a fucking good cigar. There you go. Another one. It's all happening right now.
I tell you what, I'm loving this cigar, the flavor, all the rest of it. Not that can all get in the back seat. I'm getting rings. This is the best cigar I've ever had.
Let's just not worry about the ring wank for a minute.
You love a good ring.
Cigar Man Sam.
Yeah. Mr.
Good
Sammy,
evening.
how are you?
We've seen you.
Sammy just become a grandfather, so I think you're doing a lot.
Congratulations.
Did you smoke a cigar in celebration, Sam?
Yeah, he's
well, no doubt he smoked a cigar, but does it qualify as a celebration if you're doing it all the time anyway? Does it still count?
Yeah, it just got to be a special.
As long as he chose it specifically to celebrate.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
All right. Now, I've got a little bit of user error happening here. I let the cigar get a bit too cool. I was trying to smoke it slow, and now only one side is lit. So I'm going to have to see what I do about that. I'll try and smoke my way through it, but I might have to smoke it a little bit fast for a little while, see how I go.
Yeah. These stupid user errors, man. You should take a course with Demo and I.
I still blame you.
Yeah.
Just because I'm the one holding the cigar doesn't mean it wasn't you that made the mistake.
It's almost like a soft suede leather note in there as well.
Yeah.
There is a bit of sharpness coming through, but it's not maybe it's a fennel.
I could seriously think there's leather and cedar there, but it's a sweeter version of that, if that makes sense. It's gone sweeter. I mean, it's leather, but it's pleasant. There's a cedar, but it's pleasant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely
cedar. Yeah.
All right. I've managed to get it lit all the way around. It's still very wonky, but it is burning all the way around. So we'll see if that corrects over time and see whether I manage to hang on to this ash, because I think it's wanting to fall. The ash challenge might be between the two of you today.
What's new about that?
A little bit of a, not quite a tunneling, but a little bit of a fast burn on one side. Don't know if you can quite see that.
The user error. It seems to be perfect around here. It seems to be perfect around here. And I'm sitting outdoors too, by the way.
It's actually following a vein in the leaf. So.
Oh, I just realized what it is.
What happens?
This one was supposed to go to Stu. I must have got them mixed up when I handed them out to him.
Yeah.
I didn't follow your instructions, Damo. All the bad ones, we just offload them to Stu.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. That honestly,
it's a good
best cigar.
It's like a fennel, but with a little bit of brash sharpness of a celery on it, I think.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's I debated pepper because it is in that vein, but it's not quite right.
Yeah.
It's more of a bitter than a pepper, I think.
Yep.
Mr. Stu is playing the clairvoyant, trying to predict user errors before they happen.
Yeah. Wish aging was an easy job.
I just wish you could do it faster.
Yeah, that's apparently higher humidity makes them age quicker, but I don't know.
Wasn't there some experiment happening for a while there where they were artificially heating and cooling tobacco at sort of twice the natural morning and evening rate, sort of twice a day instead of once a day, just to try and see if they could accelerate the aging processes and things like that. I know they experiment with things like that with whiskey barrels and that sort of stuff because they're trying to get the expansion and contraction of the timber and the barrels and the breathing that happens. I think we heard quite a lot about that in probably 2021, and I've really heard nothing since.
No, and one of the other ones they were looking at too is for doing really, really long aging. I think it was in the UK. There was a company that was experimenting with low humidity and low temperature. So actually storing the cigars between 10 and 15 degrees centigrade with a humidity, I think, between 55 and 60.
Okay.
But the idea was to stick them in storage. But maybe it's because it's such a long-term project, we're not going to hear about it for another, 10 years.
Yeah. You know what I wonder? What would happen if you introduced pressure? What would happen if you were at 2 or 3 or 4 atmospheres of pressure within a humid environment, etc.? Because that would have the effect of causing that atmosphere to permeate the cell structure more, making it easier for the leaves to kind of breathe, etc. And I wonder if you actually oscillated between applying and relieving pressure, whether you might actually get an interesting effect.
Dama, we might have to change
the pressure changes.
I think he's got ADHD or something. He's actually losing it.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I think you got a point. Like, I think the alcohol, or particularly whiskey industry, has a lot more money. They have a lot more consumption of their product. And because of the marketing money and everything that else goes in there, they have a lot more money to play with because they see a return in that area. I think cigars, probably what you're saying, it makes sense. It's a possibility. And at least it's worth an effort, worth someone to actually try it. But there's a lack of marketing money and all of that.
Yeah.
That will probably, yeah.
There isn't the same budget for it.
That's right.
You can never afford to do that experiment in this country, that's for sure.
Yeah, don't even try.
No
so
chance.
Ethan, I'm a talented man. I can be in 2 places at once.
How good is that?
I went down to Melbourne today. I recorded the Oddcast with Carly, and she's edited it, and it's live streaming right now. But I've already driven in the time it took to then turn that around and get that up. I've driven back to Albury, and I'm here in my studio.
What, you didn't take your private jet?
Why not?
Sadly, I took my mistress with me, though, also known as my wife.
Ah, that's cute.
If you had gone in the private jet, you could have joined the Mole High Club at the same time.
That'll have to wait another year or 2 before I can afford a private jet. But it's on the bucket list, don't you worry.
That wasn't a good sight.
Well,
how many buckets do you have?
How many lists do I have? I think is more the question. You can fit a lot of lists into one bucket.
It's nothing going to fit.
So I lost my ash.
Oh my God.
As predicted. And I got to say, it didn't radically change the flavor profile, but I would say probably a bit more funk came through for a little while. It's back to where it was now with a centimeter or so of ash all the way around. But there was definitely an increase in the funk, the underlying body of the flavor profile for a couple of puffs, and then back to normal.
So I'm the only one with the ash left, eh?
Wonky ash doesn't count. You already lost the contest before Topher and I.
There's something in this flavor profile that reminds me of pipe tobacco, but before you smoke the pipe tobacco, if that makes sense.
When it's aromatic in the tin.
Yeah. There's like, obviously they infuse pipe tobacco with all different things, but there's a lot of pipe tobaccos still have a very nice, almost slightly moist and sweet just natural tobacco sort of ambience to the smell, and I think that's the sort of note that I'm picking up in this smoke.
Mm.
Well, mine looks like it's going to go, so I'm going to just gently put it in my ashtray so I don't wear it.
You already won. There's no point rubbing it in.
That's right.
We had to let him win because he hasn't won in a few years. So you gotta be nice. You gotta be nice.
And also, we're just trying to keep him distracted. We're just waiting for those smoke alarms to go off. We don't want him to think about anything else. We just want him to focus on putting out more smoke. Put out more smoke.
It's funny.
Okay, so since the ash dropped, that note that you were talking about before, that's not quite pepper, but sort of has that
It's
light
in there somewhere.
characteristic. That's just bold and up slightly, but it's still very smooth, very pleasant. No real flavor change as such.
Okay.
Tiny little bit of pepper on that retro now once the ash has dropped. Can't believe how many rings you're finding in that cigar tonight.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
Might come to the ring record for you.
It may do. That is getting to be there's still celery over the top, but what's underneath that is getting bolder. It's not a clove.
Yeah.
But it's in that bitter almost pepper range.
Yeah. Look.
But I don't know what it is.
It's a little bit like allspice. Not exactly all like it, but it's sort of, because allspice is sort of that little bit pungent, little bit peppery, little bit spicy, herbaceous note.
I see that Cigar Man Sam has found my account on OnlyFans.
Yours is that I thought he was advertising his own.
No, I got the username first.
There's another one there.
I feel like there is, Stu, but it's complex. There's more to it than just that. But that's the closest I can get. It's the one that keeps coming back to me, and I'm like, yeah, it's not quite, but I can't get anything else. So I'm going to say clove is as close as I've got to it so far.
The thing is, a moment when I think it's clove, it changes. But at some point, I think it's clove. But the next minute, it's changed. But there is a reminiscence of clove, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Have we got David Leinhelm on the show tonight?
I don't know. We haven't heard from him yet. David, if you're here, let us know.
Yeah.
I assume you were specifically thinking of him when you decided to age the cigars for a bit longer and try and reduce the nicotine levels.
Definitely.
I think I'm quite confident that even this cigar, which I would categorize as probably on the strongest, not stronger, probably the most stronger, not one, that sort of category, right? And after aging, I'm really confident that they would say he's not feeling it. Yeah. Because this is really phenomenal. I'm actually struggling to explain how surprised I am. Because as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's 3. I've already had 3 cigars. and this is going to be a long night because it's got a 4 a.m. start, right? And this is going to be a long night. I smoke any cigar. There's no bad cigars for me.
Yeah.
And I just lit it up. I'm like, this is sweet. This is like, what happened? And since that point, it's so pleasant.
So he's okay. David says he's here, but smoking a Padron. He forgot it was on tonight until he lit it. So I'll smoke yours in a day or two. Fair enough, David. Enjoy the Padron. Still a great stick.
It's the Padrones that you got from us, David, a little while back. There'll be some, maybe about 6 months of age on those cigars by now.
Yeah, very good. I wonder, Omar, because this is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper that is grown in the USA still, which very few tobaccos still are, but this one is. And because we've had so little to do with this, I think it'd be fair to say that we're not accustomed to how this particular leaf ages. And I think what we're learning here is a little bit about how a broadleaf behaves as it ages and just how much of perhaps the broadleaf experiences a more dramatic journey in that aging process than what most other tobaccos do.
The broadleaf is probably my second favorite wrapper after Cameroon.
Really?
And obviously, yeah, because what it is probably it ages the best out of all. It looks rugged. It's never fine and beautiful. It looks rugged, but it ages to be amazing. It always has been the case. But even if I take that into account, this is a complete 180 degrees. I remember when for the past 10 years, it's always been it's always been a cigar. Where you go, you got to be serious about that. But I'm seriously surprised. But to short answer, in relation to the broadleaf, yes, broadleaf, it's definitely become sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. Yeah. Mind you, it's got to do with the filler and a binder too. Those variations and the type of variation is always going to play a very dominant role too.
Yeah. So David's just given us a reply here. Probably those ones, Damo, but I've also bought some from the US. Not sure which box I'm smoking, but they've all been aging, as I'm not quite smoking as many now. Well, enjoy it regardless, David.
Still got that sweetness in there, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Stew wants a bit of a master class. I don't know if we have to call up Whiskey Pete and get him on the show, perhaps. But what's the difference with a broadleaf, and what would typically be used? Which part of the tree, upper, lower, older, younger, etc.? I can't speak to much of that, but the broadleaf is specifically it's a genus of tobacco. It's a variety of tobacco. The word Connecticut is slightly deceptive because we associate Connecticut with much lighter colored and lighter flavored wrappers, but the Connecticut broadleaf is a complete exception to that. It's an entirely different thing. And I believe the name Connecticut is given to it simply because that's where it was kind of discovered, being grown by the native Indians in that region. And this is what it does. This is what it is. You see it often. Not often. You don't actually see it often. It's a relatively uncommon leaf, although common enough. But it's often included, Damo, correct me if I'm wrong, to give structure and often to help, with holding the ash and giving a bit of structure, or used as a binder is probably where I most commonly see it because it is a bit more of a solid leaf. It does a really good job of binding the fillers together and holding that up. But you do see it as a wrapper from time to time.
And also the wrapper leaves generally tend to come from lower in the plant where the leaves are bigger. So the leaves at the bottom are quite big, and then as that goes up the bush, the ones at the top are the smaller. And basically, they sort the bottom leaves out on the quality, and they either become wrapper or binder.
Yeah.
Or they could be filler as well if they're just not good enough to be able to cut out the right size piece to actually act as a wrapper or a binder. And when you get to a Churchill size cigar, it does have to be a fairly sizable leaf to get the correct shape out of it.
Yeah. Omar, I think you should duck around to Cigar Man Sam's tonight. Looks like you might get lucky.
I always get lucky with Cigar Man Sam.
Well, he is, you know, putting on that rugged look tonight for us.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, anyone would turn for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Brokeback Mountain. I gotta say, like, it's just, it works. It looks good on you, Omar.
Well, you want to be part of it or something?
I didn't say I would look good on you. I said the hat looks good on you. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I'm just asking, man. You don't get too defensive about that.
I plead the fifth. I'm not going to answer because I might incriminate myself. Right? Just.
So Damon, what did you actually think it would be changed so much after aging it?
No, so and honestly, I haven't smoked one of these since the batch was bought. I just, you know, everything else that we've been doing with Cigar Professor, I just hadn't had a chance to revisit this particular cigar. But given how well these were bought either at the same time or I think slightly before, they were bought before the Ave Marias that we had, the Immaculatas. So given how well they went, I knew that naturally it'd be ready as well.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other sticks hovering around the bottom of the Cigar Professor collection? Maybe not in large enough quantities for a pack, but that might have a bit of age on them that might interest people.
Well, we've still got the Ave Maria Immaculatas. Actually, let me have a quick look because I'm pretty certain I've still got some of those left as well.
Yep.
Let me just pull up the right document.
Because that'd be lovely.
And they're still all aging as well, so... what do we got there that's been aging?
Maybe Omar is the Samity to Cigar Man Sam's Sam. We just need a yo.
Look, I mean, I've still got cigars from most of the last, say, 4 packs.
You're in, Stu? You're in.
So...
well, 4 packs now. That's a year.
I've still got is the Hammer and Sickles.
Ooh.
In Robusto and Toro size.
Ooh. Very nice. Because if you think about it, 4 packs ago was a year ago because we're only doing them monthly now.
Yeah.
So that everything that was part of that stock now has a year of age on it.
Yeah. Well, I've still got some stock of the Magnudo Cru Royale Robusto.
Yeah, wow. That is a stick that would age well.
Actually, what some of the sticks that I've still got from the original pack, the Nub Maduro, the Nub Cameroon, and Nub Habanos.
All of which would be good. Now they, of course, are made by Oliva. They're manufactured by Oliva, so they're beautiful, good quality sticks.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I still have just a very, very few of from very, very early on. Is I've still got some of the original box of Perdomo Lot 23 Connecticut Gorditos.
Yeah.
They were gorgeous.
They were gorgeous. They were absolutely gorgeous.
We'd almost need to get onto those because they'd be at risk of aging out. I mean, they had a bit of body to them, but they were still a relatively light flavor profile.
Yeah, well, but they were still complex. It was still complex.
They were complex, but they
better check them out, Omar.
Huh?
Yeah, I think you better do some quality control.
Yeah, we got to check it out just in case. yeah, that's our job. We got to keep it real.
Quality control. Now,
Mhm.
Mr. Stu makes a good point, Damo.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the tax bills we've been paying recently, it would appear that we've got quite a supply. The question is, what's it going to be?
Next pack. Well, the next pack was actually only recently purchased, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because based on what I had in stock and what I wanted to do.
Mm.
So, not that packet, the other packet.
It's a dedicated Wee Willem pack.
Topher. He's a naughty
Paying
boy.
homage.
Look. Before I'll just stand up, just so you can get a bit of an idea of where we're going.
Oh,
I think I see where this is headed.
Yeah.
So,
You see that.
the Perdomo
Oh, yes.
barrel aged Connecticut. This is from the batch that we had originally. So I've still got enough of those to make up us into the next pack.
So how old would that be then?
To go alongside it, I've got the sun grown.
Barrel aged again?
Yes, and the Maduro. So we're going to work our way through the Connecticut, the sun grown, and the Maduro.
But now the Connecticut, though, has some age on it as well.
Connecticut has got a few years of age on it. The other two are only been in my possession for about 3 months, 2 or 3 months.
So should we smoke them in that order then, from the Connecticut to the sun-grown to the Maduro, do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That sounds like a good pack.
So that's where we're going.
Oh,
it's been a while since we've done an all Perdomo pack, so I felt I had to reaffirm my loyalty to Uncle Nick. So
I think I saw a video of you and Uncle Nick getting off a plane. Didn't know there was a private jet and the door opened and Uncle Nick was kind of touching you up a little bit. Was that you and Uncle Nick? Oh no, that's right. It was the president of France and his wife. Sorry, I just had a brain fade there for a second.
So anyway, they're the Gordito sized, which is basically the equivalent of a Toro. So bigger than a Robusto, smaller than a Churchill.
Yeah.
So we should get some good smoke time out of that.
Nice. And being Perdomos, there should be very, very few issues with them. They should all smoke well and be nice and consistent and reliable. Speaking of which, by the way, mine did self-correct. Once I kind of heated it back up again and got it all burning, it just corrected itself over time, and now it's basically a knife edge.
Mine's doing a really beautiful slow burn.
Yeah, it is.
Look at that. I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, you're doing better than me. I've gone it, but mind you, I did have to speed up because of that burn issue. But yeah, you'll get an hour and a half out of yours, I reckon. Now, Mr. Stu is hunting for some Perdomo merch. Is he going to have to come and like steal from you, Damo, during the middle of the night? Just sneak in and take something out of your wardrobe?
Ooh, what have I got in the way, Perdomo? Well, I've got I've still got some of their cutter and lighter sets. I've still got some of the melamine Perdomo ashtrays, which is the square plastic material one. And not sure what else I've got in Perdomo there. I think that's pretty much what we've got in stock that I can think of off the top of my head.
Stu, what you have to understand is that every Perdomo shirt that's imported into Australia goes directly into Damo's private collection. So they're not for sale. They're not for sale.
Oh man, seriously.
I actually buy these. So
you actually pay for them, do you?
I do.
Wow. He really is using you. You buy his cigars, you buy his merch.
I do not get any free merch from him, unfortunately.
I mean, honestly, what kind of a wanker would charge money for their own merch? I tell you, it's just like what kind of an asshole.
Yeah, only a loser would do that.
I know, right? I know, especially merch with their name on it. It's that's just beyond the pale, you know?
Yeah. Kind of gay.
And It's just in case I ever get Alzheimer's and people, it's like, what's your name? What's your name? I can just read my shirt. And apparently my name is Don't Make Me Repeat Myself.
Just a quick question. When you say, if I get, what do you mean by that?
I don't remember. Oh, excuse me. I don't recall.
If I... tough.
Well, I've lost my ash again. Definite uptick in this. It's really quite sour. I'm sure it'll only be temporary while I build that ash back up again.
Feel better?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Do you need me to knock mine off to make you feel better?
Listen. There is nothing in the world that you could do that would make me feel better or worse. I am utterly ambivalent. But I will say the sourness that's come out now is actually it's almost a citrus sourness, but it's that tongue tightening, gets that little reaction from the mid part of your tongue.
How far into it are you, Omar, at the moment?
I'm going to be a little slow, obviously, a bit slower than you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, about your same as you.
Yep.
And Ash is holding up again. But interesting what Topher said. It's got a like bite to it, but it's not a strong bite. It's a sweet bite.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
A little bit like Stu's just said a coffee sour. A whiskey sour. It's got a little bit of that in it.
If you want to be specific, in an espresso, if it's anaerobic fermentation, I think Damon would get that. For a Kenyan coffee, this is very that bite, that tangy bite, which is absolutely gorgeous. That's what I'm getting, to be specific. So I'm going off.
Anaerobic fermentation for a Kenyan coffee grown in cow manure or goat manure? Because those are two entirely different flavors.
Yeah. Oh,
I actually get the concept of a Kenyan coffee. Kenyan coffees do have a different, unusual acidity flavor compared to other coffees, and I get where Omar's coming from with that. I don't know whether I think that it's like the difference, the notable difference of a Kenyan coffee is what I can pick up in it, but not necessarily the same type of acidity as a Kenyan coffee.
That's why I said anaerobic fermentation changes it.
Yeah.
I mean, these Muppets next to us wouldn't know what we're talking about. So we got to take it easy. We got to take it easy.
Yeah, I'll have to do coffee in one of the future packs again, I reckon.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Seriously.
That sourness is actually persisting for a bit longer than I would have expected. The ash is now a good centimeter, slightly more. And that sourness is persisting. It's not as sharp, but it is really lovely. And it is like, there are some Italian soft drinks. What's that cola? It's kind of a bitter Italian cola drink that I cannot think of its name.
It's not Chinotto.
Chinotto.
Yep.
For me now, at this stage of the cigar, there's a Chinotto kind of note in there. It's still sweet, but with a sour overlay over the top.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I've never had Chinotto in a cigar before. That's a new one.
It's certainly a new one. And I said, look, it's going through a lot of transitions. It's the same, but it still has transitions all the way through.
I was going to say, you can still tell that it's the same cigar. It's very different to how it started, but it is very much the same cigar.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Actually, you know what that sourness is actually reminding me of? You know the kaffir lime leaf that they put in Asian cooking?
Yeah.
It's got that citrusy sourness, but it's sort of it's not the same as the fruit and the juice. It's that leaf, sort of almost that vegetative sourness. It's not a fruity sourness.
I'd be interested to check in with you once you're another, inch or so through the cigar and see whether that's darkened, because a lot of that brightness that something like that brings is sort of gone for me now. A lot of the brighter notes that we had early on have faded in this mid, as I got towards the end of the middle third, a lot of that began to fade out, and I'm left with the deeper sort of flavor profiles in this cigar, which is to be expected. That's a relatively normal progression. But yeah, there is an element of a cola, it's not a coffee, it's not quite a chocolate, but there is a darker flavor profile in there now.
I would say that it is the reinterpretation of that molasses and the herb make it. That's what we're getting. We went through clove, we went through a bunch of things, and I think combining that together is what happened.
Yeah. Stu is correct. Mine just came off super easy, no risk of damaging anything. Just a continuation of the perfect construction is the perfect amount of glue and the perfect label application. There you go. Peter Evans has joined us. Hey all, he says, how is everyone? Only just discovered we were on tonight, lol. Already smoking a Perdomo Lot 23 sun-grown. Good choice. Amazing for a budget line. Yeah, they're a great stick.
I'm not too sure if it's a budget line.
The same thought went through my head, and I was like, I'm going to mull on that for a second before I say it. But yes, I tend to agree. I'm not sure it's a budget.
I'm not too sure it's a budget line. And I think what has happened is that Lot 23, it gets sold as 5-packs at discounters. That depends on the stock levels, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a budget line.
And was that a single crop, the Lot 23? Was that kind of the whole idea of it? Was it came off that one? Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mr.
Cigar, Stu is sorry.
The whole cigar, the wrapper, the binder, and the filler.
Yeah. So Mr. Stu's been experimenting with acid. Just go easy, mate. You can do trippy things with you. No, he had a little acid gold the other day, very sugary sweet. Yeah, they're too sweet for me. And then the acid series. So the only acid that I ever actually enjoyed at the time was the acid Cuba Cuba. Yeah. And I did enjoy it the first time I had it, and then I went back to have it about 4 or 5 months later. This was pretty early in my cigar journey, having by then smoked quite a few more genuine, good quality cigars, and I ended up putting it down halfway through because I felt like it was going to make me sick. It was just too sweet. So I'm not going to be going back to try the acids, but I have tried a few of them, and I did enjoy the first time I had the Cuba Cuba.
Can't sell them in Australia anymore.
That's right. Flavored tobacco, illegal now. Enjoy the ones you've got, Mr. Stu. Peter explains here, I put budget in quotes because a lot of sites say that, but the prices don't reflect that. And I think they're better than the 20th anniversary. Ooh, that's a big call.
That's a big call.
I think the 10th are better than the 20th. I don't think the 20th are Perdomo's best product line. 23 better than the 20th. The Lot 23 better than the 20th.
And they got the 30th range now, and they've just released the other 2 weeks ago the Legacy series, which I don't know for certain, but I think they're going to use the Legacy series as a replacement range for the ESVs, which they discontinued.
Most probably.
Which I am absolutely devastated about. I actually had an ESV the other day. I had a very long drive to Brisbane via inland because the coast was flooded. Mm-hmm. And when I got to Brisbane, I was just like, I want to sit down and gather my thoughts for a few hours before dinner. And so I lit up a ESV, and it had, I bought those ones in 2017, I think it was, 2018, in that ballpark. So I had 7 years of age on it, and my goodness. My goodness, it was a
Would,
wonderful.
would that have been
wonderful?
Would that have
Scotch.
been from the same batch as the ESV that you gave me the first time we met?
Yes.
Because that was what, 5 years ago now, and they already had a couple of years on them when you gave that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you sure know how to make a first impression. I'll give you that.
That would have been an amazing first impression.
Now, Mr. Stu's asking, have you had a 70 gauge? And I just realized, Stu, I didn't actually ask these guys the question that you asked very early on. Let me scroll up here. You asked about I'm still scrolling. Hey, okay, here it is.
Do as
Hey, Damo.
regard 70 gauge, no, only on the fear of the amount of tax that would be payable on the bastards when they arrive in this country. Because I think we're currently sitting at about $2,400 a kilo in tax at the moment, or $2.40 something per gram.
That's a lot of money, man.
Honestly, let's just give up and join the black market. Honestly, how ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
I did have a new business idea, though.
Yeah.
There's all the research coming out with people with autism and ADHD and nicotine and the beneficial effects of
Yeah.
and being able to focus and center thoughts and concentration, stuff like that. So I'm wondering whether I can get the Cigar Professor NDIS accredited so that we can help these poor sufferers of autism and ADHD with their need to, regulate their brain function.
I would absolutely love to be able to go down to my local GP and get a prescription of cigars on the pharmaceutical benefit scheme. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
That would be gold.
Now, the question here from Stu is, I got a couple of 13 Asylum 7x70s to try. Might be a good monster for a future pack. Well, I think the future pack is out just on account of that would be the entire pack budget in a single cigar. But you'll have to let us know how you go, Mr. Stu.
If you have any difficulty smoking, just send them over.
I've actually got an app that gives you the estimated weights on a stick, and it doesn't go that size.
Yeah, okay. It's too big for the estimator. Can you do a shorter 70 ring gauge and just double it?
It doesn't go to 70.
Wow.
So you're looking at a 7x60. You're looking at approximately 19.94 grams per stick. So,
wow.
I'm guessing probably around about 24, 25 grams.
Yeah, easy.
So I'm guessing
you're
about $61 of tax in a single stick.
Yeah, you'd need an extra large condom both for the cigar and also to take that tax bill. Moving on, Pete Evans says, you're right, Trevor. I'm at the 10th. Yeah, okay, so you think they're better than the 10th? Wow. Okay, that is high praise because I've got a lot of time for the 10th anniversary. Haven't tried acid because after trying a Deadwood, I decided flavored or sweetened is just way too sweet for me. Yeah. Look, I got into cigars thanks to chocolate-dipped cigarillos. That was my first exposure, and I went, oh, actually, I enjoy this. But yeah, it doesn't take long before they're just too sweet. But I mean, Stu has completely burned out all of his taste buds over years, so he can't tell. That's why he can still enjoy them. You know, that's the advantage he has.
Oh man, yeah. I was like a starter on Connecticut side, like most people.
Yeah.
But that was it. You can't go back now.
All right. I'm just going to mute Omar because I don't want to hear what he's got to say about this. I'm feeling a little bit of nicotine. Just a little bit, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, that's so
well
not
said, Omar. That was very eloquent of you.
Man, I'll tell you what, this is so good. This got no nicotine whatsoever.
It's a beautiful stick, but I'm hardly smoking any cigars now. I've actually, this last 3 months, I've only had the cigars in the pack with just one or two others along the way. So I'm having maybe a cigar every 3 weeks on average at the moment.
Oh, wow. You almost qualify for not having not a cigar smoker.
Almost. I mean, I'm way too sophisticated to not be a cigar smoker, but yes, I almost qualify. No, you wouldn't recognize me compared to what I was 2 years ago. I now get up usually between 5:30 and 6 in the morning. I used to be a night person. Now I'm done by 9 o'clock. My brain doesn't work, as you'll be able to tell in just about a minute or two. And I have stopped drinking alcohol for a while. I'll start again at some point, but I've stopped for a while. And I've cut back on my cigars. And you know what? You know what's funny? I'm doing all the right things, and I'm now, in the last 6 weeks, getting the worst headaches I've ever had.
Yeah. Your body's about to start to detoxify. That's what it is.
I just think it's bad for me. I've got to get back on the alcohol, start sleeping in again, and ramp up the cigars. That's my solution.
You think? That may not be the solution.
I choose to believe it is.
Yeah, sure.
I tell you what, I'll have an entire bottle of whiskey, and I'll let you know in the morning whether that headache is worse than the ones I've been getting recently.
You'll find out in a bad way.
I can't believe the number of rings you're finding in this stick. I think it's taken the record for you.
I reckon it probably has, and they're continuing off camera for quite some time. Beautiful. There's just beautiful texture in the smoke. So that sharpness is now spreading. It was on the tongue. Now it's across the top of the hard palate on the top of the mouth, and a little bit on the bottom lip as well. This kind of, it's still not pepper. It is still a bitter rather than a pepper.
Not pepper. It's not pepper at all.
No.
See, I'm just hitting the final third now.
Well, show off, why don't you?
Well, look, Daniel's not on the show, so someone had to smoke slow.
Yeah, that's right. Someone had to smoke slow, and someone had to blow the rings. So, you know, we're just doing all the heavy lifting now that Daniel's not here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, in your case, Stu, that's probably not the cigar. It's probably the Kilkenny.
Let's just call it that.
Stu's probably got his is it a Essie or an Aga or a Rayburn cranked at home at the moment? He's
that is a foreign language. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wood-fired stove in the kitchen. It's a cooktop oven, but it's wood-fired and heats the whole house at the same time.
There you go. There you go.
I
know he goes through a bit of timber.
Sitting in front of that with a cigar is probably...
That'd be pretty good, I reckon.
I think so too.
He's saying if he joined me for that, or if I had that bottle of whiskey, the couch is comfortable. I make the connection now, Stu. I've got it. I'm with you.
Although I did pre-test one of the cigars that I'm considering for a future pack the other day.
Yeah. You know, once you've smoked them, you can't put that one in a pack.
Well, I've got to check whether it's worth having it in a pack or not, you know?
Yeah, but no matter how well you scoop up those ashes, I don't want you shipping them to me.
So I decided, because you know how we really enjoyed the Nasty Fritters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's actually made from the cut-off. It's a short fill cigar made from the cut-off from other cigars. And one of the other cigars that it's made from is the Liga Privada T52.
Yes.
So I thought I'll give that a go.
Okay.
that was a real pleasant cigar, and a
Very
decent, and it actually behaved very much like the Liga Privada. The Nasty
The
Fritas.
Nasty
It just
Fritas.
smoked itself. I took a puff of it, put it down on the ashtray while I was doing something else, and it must have been a good 2 or 3 minutes later, and it's still sitting there smoking.
The fire brigade showed up.
And picked it up, and it was still burning perfectly.
Yeah, those things are amazing. They're an absolute smoke factory.
Yeah, they are.
Have we had the papas fritas in a pack? I feel like we haven't. Yeah, I feel like we haven't. I've had one at some point, and I ended up.
I don't know if this
I think because I went into it,
see that.
Yeah.
That's after sitting in the ashtray for about 2 minutes.
Oh wow, going nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I had the papas fritas at one point, and I had high hopes for it because obviously it's part of that whole same sort of family of cigars, and I honestly found it a bit underwhelming. Give me the nasties any day.
But I still think the Papa Fritas would be a good one to explore. Explore a few more of those more premium boutique-y cigars from Drew Estate.
Yep. Oh, it's worthy. It's a worthy exploration, and I should probably go back and give them a second chance. I might have smoked it wrong or not been in the mood, or who knows? There's all sorts of other factors that can be at play. It'd be worth having a look.
It wouldn't have been one that I've aged carefully, so
that's true. That's true.
There's been plenty of cigars that I've bought, tasted, and gone, oh, it's not great. Let's stick it away and see what happens in a year's time. And in a year's time, it's like, wow, great cigar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Time is your friend.
Oh, that foot smoke coming off this at the moment is just, it's just like cinnamon and spice, a little bit of sweet musky pepper on that foot smoke at the moment.
Yeah.
I think, Udo, I think you're right. Omar has fallen asleep. But you know, in modern cars, you can turn on like the lane keeping assist that kind of just bumps you back into the lane and kind of gives everyone else around you the appearance that you're still driving the car. I think Omar's kind of got a cigar smoking mode where he can actually be asleep and he'll still actually puff on the cigar. And then every once in a while, he'll just go, yeah. And then everyone thinks he's still awake.
I'll tell you what, that moment when Udo looked at me and I had put my head down and I'm like, this cigar requires absolutely no talking. And it actually wants you to just chill. And that was that very moment Udo looked at, I was just had my head down. I'm like, wow, this just wants you to just go completely out. Yep. That's exactly what the cigar is.
Yep. Well, I said that at the outset.
Yeah. It's one of those cigars when you want to reflect. You just sit down and you light the damn thing up and you are just chilling, writing notes or whatever. Yeah. Oh man. What for your slow chat?
Yeah, well, you could sit around with a group of guys, light these up, say absolutely nothing, everyone go home, and you would have all had a fantastic evening. Like it just would be brilliant.
Yeah, we had a good night kind of thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Well, I'm getting down to the business end.
Oh, look at that.
Flavor profile still beautiful.
It's straight off.
Yeah, wow, look at that.
And no damage at all. Perfectly applied. I've actually got a little box of all the cigars that we've smoked on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I throw bands into. Haven't worked out what I'm going to do with all those bands, but I've got quite a collection of bands there now.
You would do now.
And then on top of that, all the cigars that I smoke myself with Omar or testing cigars and checking cigars and just having my own cigars, I save all those bands and I've got bag home that I keep them in, and there's a lot of them as well.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
well, Udo is on the no nicotine bandwagon here. I'm getting outnumbered here.
Wow.
I'm not saying there's a lot of nicotine. I'm just saying there's some.
Acidity hit.
Nah, man. Nah.
Wow.
Nah.
Are you starting to get that?
I just got that puff then was a massive, just big ramp up in that acidity.
Yeah.
It was almost like a spritz of lemon juice or sherbet or super sour or something.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's gone between a limoncello and a canotto.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of it's sat in that range for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see the limoncello, that sort of acidity, but with that sweetness and that smoothness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's just at the business end. You know, that campfire smokiness, cedar, burnt cedar type of thing. Yeah. This is what's happening right now. Savory. It's gone from to slightly savory.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just all the earth tones are coming out beautifully for me now. Underneath that sort of there's still that little bit of kind of twist to it, which I'm enjoying. But there's a lot of earth tone underneath it now.
Oh man, seriously? I think ever since we started doing Cigar Professor, whatever, how many years ago, this is the most surprising cigar. I'm not going to say it's my favorite and the best ever, but most surprising, most improved. You know, wow.
Yeah. That last comment of Mr. Stews, I reckon if we had 1 cent for every band from every cigar that Omar's ever smoked, we're milking it.
If we had that, we'd be able to afford the tobacco tax on another box of cigars.
Oh man,
Peter, yes, we did. Very briefly, it's a triple pack of beautiful Perdomos.
I am happy to repeat myself for Pete. So we have from the original batch that we did. How long ago was it? We did the barrel aged one.
Gosh,
it was a while ago.
Yeah, that was back when we were doing one every week.
Yeah. So we have the Perdomo Habano barrel aged Connecticut. It's from that batch, so it's got a couple of years of age on it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, now we're revisiting it. We never visited the sun grown, so I've added the sun grown to it as well.
Yeah.
And then we might as well go for the full trifecta. So we've got the Maduro. So we're going to basically do the Connecticut, the sun grown, and the Maduro in that range, and they're all a Toro size cigar. So interestingly too, Perdomo are putting QR codes on the back of their cigars now, so you can actually scan and it takes you to their page on their website for the cigars. So
and they do actually give you some information, unlike some of the manufacturers.
Correct.
Yes. That's definitely good.
All right, I'm going to put this one down soon, but this has been a magnificent stick.
Yeah.
I actually feel like it could survive even more age. This could sit for another year or two and just get better and better.
100%. 100%. 100%. I think it could survive a lot of age.
When are you coming to Sydney next, Toph?
Well, I'll be going up to speak at CPAC in Brisbane later in the year, and I could come through Sydney. But I can also.
I've got a what's that CO V554?
Oh yeah,
that you like?
Yeah.
I've got some of those that I purchased in 20. 19.
Ooh. That's the flathead, yeah? The flathead 554.
554.
That is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
It's got 6 years of age on it.
So
I haven't got
who do
many.
I
I've
have to kill?
got like 4 of them there, or 3 of them there. 3 or 4. I reckon next time you're in Sydney, I think it's worth breaking those ones out.
Sounds like a Cigar Professor private herf to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That would be good.
The 3 of us can get together in the factory and really test the smoke alarms out.
When are you coming, Toph? Did you say?
Look, I don't have any specific plans, but I'm not that far down the road anymore. That difference from Melbourne to Albury makes a pretty big difference. I've day tripped to Sydney a couple of times, but I'd probably make this a more of an overnight trip. But I could certainly justify doing the trip if there was a 5-year-old KO Flathead 554 waiting for me. That's a pretty good incentive.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that.
Now, Mr. Stu is swinging for the fences here. He's putting in his little request, Damo.
Well, truth be known, I was originally planning to do it for this pack because this pack came out for Easter.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we had a double whammy where we actually had a major fallout with the company that we were using for our order fulfillment with my wife's company. At the same time, we decided to not renew the lease on our factory. And so I actually had to do 2 factory moves simultaneously by myself. Well, the third-party packing logistics company, that was mostly done by them, but there was a lot of coordinating. And at the other end, when it came out, I had to be down there and going through stuff and showing them, walking out what was what. But then I had to pack up our factory solo and then move it and then unpack. And I just didn't have the hours of the day. I actually moved over Easter, so I worked basically the whole of Easter long weekend moving factories. So I did. I think I did something like 54 hours of work over Easter long weekend.
I've misplaced my violin somewhere, but if I had it, I'd play it for you.
Thank you.
I did offer to help, but then when it all happened at the last minute, it wasn't possible. So
yeah, and that was the thing. I mean, there was a lot of things that were outside of my control. I really tried to push, but we end up moving the factory that we're in and out at the moment. We actually technically we own this factory.
Yeah, right. Congratulations.
Bought it, but it took us literally from 2 weeks before Christmas until actually it was after Easter before we got the finance approved. We actually struck a deal with the owner of this place and we paid him a couple of weeks rent so we could move in because we had to move out of the other factory. We didn't renew the lease and we're getting kicked out. But it literally took that long to get the finance organised. Every time there was some other hurdle to go through or redo the application again or one little detail and back to the starting line again. And it was just absolutely painful.
Yeah. No, that happens, unfortunately.
And then I literally had 2 days notice of when we were moving.
Which was wonderful because it got me out of having to come to Sydney and actually do some work. So I was quite pleased in the end with how it worked out.
Of course you did.
Now, just going to jump back to a comment from Tony. Sorry to stray, but Toph, massive congrats on the growth of your channel. 100,000 subs is not far away. The videos are slick and the content is excellent. Also loving the oddcast. Really happy for you. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. And yes, it's been a long road to get to where we are, but I think I've kind of hit my stride now, which is nice. And clearly subscribers on YouTube tend to agree. I've gone from less than 30,000 at the start of the year to now I'm over 83,000 in about 5 months. So it's been an interesting journey. What are you getting towards the end there? Is it a similar journey to what I had? It's sort of darkening out. A lot of the bright notes are gone.
I'm still that bold acidity that I got did die down, but it's still definitely got a citrusy note there. But maybe it's a little bit more lime-like as opposed to lemon-like.
Yeah,
peel.
okay.
A bitter peel.
The rind.
Yeah, well, that's I guess where I was coming from with the kaffir lime leaves.
Sure.
You still got the acidity, but that sort of more of that vegetative bitter note there in that acidity.
Yeah. Nice. Excuse me.
Actually, I had a Churchill the other day. Just trying to remember what it was. The amount of driving I've been doing, I've actually been finding I've actually driven just over 2,500 Ks in the last 5 days, 6 days,
Wow.
Something like that. That's right. I had a Perdomo Fresco Churchill, which is a Connecticut Churchill. That's one of their cheap daily smokes. It's not sold in a box. It's sold in like a blister pack.
And a cab.
And I got 2 hours and 10 minutes out of that cigar.
Wow.
Admittedly, I was doing some other stuff while I was at it, so I wasn't just sitting there, focusing on the cigar. But I thought that was quite impressive. I didn't have to relight.
Yeah, wow.
So,
yeah, that's what you want.
Getting every cent of value out of that tax that was paid.
Gosh, I feel like I've got to put the nub into like an incense burner or something, just so that I actually burn it and it doesn't go out, unburned. Got to revisit this whole the pipe thing. I tried that a few times and maybe once or twice it worked, but by and large it was very unsatisfactory. But maybe have to think about that again.
Yeah, look, there's that proper cigar pipe that's actually got a conical threaded bit on it. I've tried to buy it a few occasions. The guy only makes them in small batches by hand from time to time.
Yeah, okay.
And tells me when he's going to have them on, and I'll jump on and keep looking, and then by the time I find that they've been available, it's sold out again. So I've been trying for a few years. But the idea is that you can stick the nub into it and actually sort of screw it in, and it actually bites in around the hole to create a nice
seal.
Yeah,
because that was part of the issue, was that you had to jam it in there so tightly in order to get it to seal that you'd end up kind of mushing because by then the nub is soft, it's warm, it's all of that. And that was one of the issues. I could never quite get it to work. Although I do remember one occasion when it did, and that was lovely, and I really enjoyed that, but so inconsistent. And I felt like you'd have to have a range of different pipes for the different ring gauges. So a conical bowl would make a lot of sense in that case.
I have done it on a normal pipe once with a Romeo and Juliet wide Churchill that I'm enjoying. It was so incredible that I had to pull the pipe out and smoke it. And I literally smoked everything. There was not a single piece of unburnt tobacco left after I finished with that one.
Yeah, I remember that.
That must feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
Nice.
I don't know, boys, how I feel about this pipe thing, man. We are cigar smokers. Let's just not fuck around with that.
I did actually try and get into pipes at one point because they're a cheaper alternative. But the faffing about, the attention that it demands from you is more than what I'm like. That takes away from the experience for me. It's an entirely different experience.
Dirty experience. It's just messy and dirty. 2 words.
And the smell afterwards. Like the smell in a pipe, it's not. I like the idea of having the pipe sitting on a shelf in a library and all that sort of that kind of the romance of that era. But the smell is horrific. Yeah, no, not my thing.
The thing that frustrates me the most is that when you burn pipe tobacco, a lot of that incredible scent that you've got on the unburnt tobacco instantly gets lost in the burning.
Yep. Yeah.
You get some of it through, but nowhere near what, like, the tobacco itself is so beautiful to smell, and it just almost, some of it smells so good, you could almost eat it.
Yeah.
But then when you smoke it, it is, I find it disappointing compared to a cigar.
Yeah. I got to agree with that. And just too much trouble, too much faffing about, getting the press right and doing the two lights and this and that and constantly fiddling with it. And for people that love their pipes, that almost seems like that's part of it for them. They enjoy that aspect of it, but that's not for me. Not for me.
The type that reminds me of the people who love the lawn mowing and keeping the garden. Fuck.
Yeah.
Nah.
They've got that immaculate lawn with not a single weed, not a single clover leaf, nothing. Just all perfect, uniform, same type of grass. I am not that guy.
And they mow one line that way, then the next one has to be mowed in the opposite direction, and then they come and crisscross it over to get the pattern in the grass.
Yes. No. I am not a groundskeeper at the MCG. I am not a greenskeeper at a links. No. Not for me. Thank you.
That won't work.
Now, Mr. Stu's got a suggestion here, but I hate to break it to you, Stu, but the chances are very, very slim of having any of those sorts of guys on as guests just because of the time zone. If you have a look at what the time is in the US right now, it's not a time of day that's going to be very friendly to them to want to come on. So, unfortunately, not likely to happen.
Look, I've got other business stuff that I do with my wife's company, and there is talk of me going over to meet with a couple of our suppliers in America towards the end of this year.
Yep.
And if that happens, I was contemplating taking the opportunity of meeting with a couple of our suppliers while I'm over there.
Nice.
And I was thinking that perhaps maybe what I could do is, with your advice and guidance, because this is your area of expertise, is to actually maybe set up and do a bit of a cigar interview show with maybe Perdomo or some of the other people over in America while I'm there. And actually have maybe a pre-recorded thing we can push out.
Well, that'd be cool in a way. I mean, we could literally just play it during one of our shows. We could be sitting around here smoking a cigar, play that interview. We can interrupt that interview anytime you want to make a comment on the cigar you're smoking, or we want to have a chat about what he said or what have you. That sounds like a great idea.
So I'm getting that acidity has died down as the ashes built up again.
Yep.
And it's getting a bit of a vegetative note there now for me. Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking I want to go to the US with my wife, hopefully with the whole family, but I want to go there in the middle of next year because I don't know if you know what July the 4th, 2026 is going to be for the United States of America. It is going to be their 250th birthday.
Wow.
And I'm expecting that the fireworks show on that particular American Independence Day is going to be pretty freaking spectacular no matter where you are in the US. So I'm thinking that I'd like to get the whole family there for that. And if any other cigar smokers wanted to make their way to America at the same time, we could figure something out because I think that would be a very good night to be sitting somewhere with a good view and a good stock of cigars.
Well, I've actually got a few contacts in the fireworks industry out of the US. I will, when we get into next year, reach out to me again, and I'll put my feelers out to them and get an idea of which would be the more premium shows that are worth watching.
Worth going to, yep.
And I can give you a list of those ones if you're sort of going to be shopping around. I mean, you're right. No matter where you go, there's going to be incredible shows.
Yeah.
But there are some companies in America that have a lot of choreography and finesse to their shows, as opposed to, I think, for such a big birthday, it's just going to be a shoot 'em up as much as possible. Whereas if you want to see something that's just like leaves you in awe on how the hell they did that, I'll see if I can find some of those for you.
Well, I'll definitely listen to any ideas or suggestions or pointers that you've got. It'll also depend a little bit on where some of my contacts are. I want to spend that time with people that I know and so forth. But then again, having said that, I've got contacts kind of all over the place, so it could be a bit of a choose your own adventure. But I just thought, you know what,
Maybe
I'll
the
probably.
one at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, this is the thing. There are some interesting possibilities there, and I'm really pleased that Trump is going to be the president for their 250th birthday, presuming he doesn't get assassinated between now and then. I suspect the show is going to be particularly spectacular, more so than what it would have been, or the celebration nationwide is going to be more spectacular than what it might have been under, let's say, a Joe Biden or a Kamala Harris. So I think it's going to be one of those parties that you just don't want to miss.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely say that you're probably not going to want to watch a show in California because with all of their environmental crap that goes on, yeah.
Actually, that's a great idea. The rest of the country should aim their fireworks at California and just be like, you're having a fireworks show whether you like it or not. We're just going to shoot them from the East Coast all the way across and make them detonate over California. And just make them intercontinental ballistic missiles, and then everyone's happy.
Look, I'm just surprised that these states adjoining California haven't just like on the border, just do like a drill and blast, like all the way along, and just know break it off. And
you've got a great fault line there. Make the most of it. Leverage it.
Exactly.
Bit of subterranean nuclear bomb testing strategically placed along that fracture. That'd do the job nicely.
Mind you, I haven't read too much follow up into it, but I have seen a few reports. I listen to a lot of things about what's happening global weather, like with you and Inigo Jones and stuff like that. But there's also guys that are about volcanology and what's going on, and also particularly from a planetary cycle and the effects of the gravitational pull on the planet. And there's a bit of seismic activity going on over the west side of America at the moment. They're wondering whether one of the big super volcanoes is due to rear its ugly head. So maybe that will be the 4th of July spectacular for...
You would not get a bigger firework. I mean, if Yellowstone goes up, that's your fireworks show right there.
Yeah, well, there's been some earthquakes and deep earthquakes too in the magma chambers around Yellowstone. So
Yep. Mind you, I mean, that has been talked about my entire life, and it's been sitting there dormant for quite a long time, but it will go at some point. So in someone's lifetime, it will go up, and maybe it's ours. Who knows? I don't know. Is that something we should be hoping for, though? I feel a bit conflicted about that.
Well, if it all lands on California.
Oh, yeah, true. Good point. Yeah, who cares? Or can we just get it? Can we just get them to aim their volcanoes at Victoria? I know it's a long way in between, but if we could just have California explodes and all the crap lands on Victoria, I think that would just be a win-win.
Well, I mean, they go into all this effort of trying to spray crap in the atmosphere to cool the planet down. Well, that's what's believed to have been the trigger of ice ages in the past, when a volcano's jettisoned all that ash into the upper atmosphere.
Yep. Yeah, we are going to be drill baby drill for as much energy as we can get if one of those super volcanoes goes up, because the Earth is going to get cold and hungry real fast.
And dim.
Yes, indeed. Mind you, intellectually speaking, I think we've become very dim over the last 40 years.
This is true.
You
just have a conversation with anyone that's got letters after their name, and you quickly find that one out.
Educated, but not exactly bright. Well, Damo, are you wound up as well? No, you're still going. Goodness me, you've done well. You've got an hour and a half out of that.
I reckon.
Yeah, wow.
Probably at least another 15, 20 in it for me, but
goodness me,
I'm sure everybody doesn't sit around watching me like that for another 15 or 20.
Yeah, no. Well, we're going to call it a night, but keep an eye out for an email.
For Omar.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
About an hour and a half of smoke time for you, Omar.
Yeah, I was about an hour and 15.
I've probably got about an hour 40, hour 45.
Yeah.
So
yeah, wow.
Good smoke time.
Well, there you go.
Very good.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to call it a show, but keep an eye on your emails for information about the next pack, invoices, all that usual stuff coming out this week and the week after. We'll get those in the mail to you. We're looking forward to an all Perdomo pack for pack number 19.
Wow.
Well, gentlemen,
Then the one after
any
that will
last-
be the big 2-0. I'll have to
It'll be the
start
big
thinking what we're going to
2-0.
do for that one.
yeah. Well, I mean, based on the tax bills, I'm thinking you've got some options there. So unless you've been just testing all of them, you haven't let Omar get too close to the stash, have you?
You don't know that.
Yes.
Well, he did stay away from the warehouse, so he didn't have to help pack up, and he hasn't been here to help unpack yet. So
Very
I
wise
love
man.
Unpack.
Very wise man. Alrighty, well, gentlemen, we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for your comments and the conversation. It's been a fun night, and we will see you next month. Keep an eye out for your emails. Ciao.